Have you ever wondered about the invisible threads that connect seemingly disparate lives? Marina did. Every morning, before the city truly woke, she was already on her way, clutching a worn purse containing the hopes and dreams she held for her son Daniel. Would this month's meager earnings be enough? Enough for Daniel's school? Enough for just a little bit of breathing room? Her destination? A world away from their small apartment. Imagine, if you will, a place like Brookhaven Manor. Stone walls that whispered of generations, gardens so perfect they seemed sculpted, and an unnerving silence that hung in the air. This was James Rowan's world. But what was Marina's place in it all? Not that of a resident, but a worker, a cleaner. For 2 years, she'd meticulously polished, dusted, and scrubbed, always reminding herself it wasn't for her. It was for Daniel. Each gleaming surface represented a step further towards his future. But did she ever dream of more? Did the grandeur of the mansion ever intimidate her? Perhaps. But Marina had a fierce focus. Every stroke of the cloth, every sweep of the broom was a tiny act of love, a testament to her dedication to Daniel. She was there for one reason. Meanwhile, how could you not feel the contrast? A life of opulent isolation versus a life of simple, fierce love. Which held more value? Back in their small apartment, the real magic happened. Simple bedtime stories became grand adventures. Daniel's innocent chatter filled the small space with warmth. These were the moments that fueled her. But what about the man who owned this grand estate? James Rowan. A shadow flitting through the mansion, his presence almost as intangible as the dust she cleaned. Did he even see her? Whispers followed James like shadows. His wife gone too soon. A young son, Elliot, adrift in the vastness of the mansion. Was it loneliness she saw in Elliot's face when he was roaming the hallways? Nannies and tutors were there to care for his needs, but who nurtured his soul? Like Daniel, he was 7. 2 boys, so close in age, yet worlds apart in their experiences. Was it destiny that placed Marina in their path? Marina's days ended with the echo of her footsteps fading into the marble corridors. But the moment she arrived at home, Daniel exploded with stories of his day. Did she find a new sense of purpose in that house, a place where all her hard work would eventually pay off? One afternoon, while polishing an antique vase, she noticed Elliot. He sat alone, clutching a worn stuffed animal, his eyes reflecting a profound sadness. Did she dare to break the silence? A simple, "Are you all right, Elliot?" A question that hung in the air like a fragile hope. His shrug, a mumbled, "I guess." What was it about this encounter that left such an imprint? That evening, James returned home early. A fleeting glimpse. Marina, crouching beside Elliot. Elliot smiling. Something shifted in James that day. He was unsettled, unaccustomed to seeing his son connect with anyone beyond the paid staff. Was it jealousy? Guilt? He moved on, but the seed of awareness had been planted. Why was he so eager to avoid that reality? Days turned into weeks. Elliot's smiles became more frequent when Marina was near. A shared joke, a helping hand, a simple acknowledgement of his existence. The staff noticed. But did James? What was it about Marina that could unlock something in his son that he himself couldn't? Then, one afternoon, he overheard them. Elliot animated, sharing a fantastical tale of pirates and treasure. James intervened, his tone sharp. What was going on? Marina, suddenly subdued. Elliot, shrinking back. What was this unseen force pushing them apart? "I don't want distractions," James said, his voice cold. "My son doesn't need false attachments." The words hung in the air, heavy with unspoken meaning. Marina's heart clenched. She understood the unspoken threat. But could she stand by and watch Elliot fade away? That night, Marina couldn't sleep. Elliot's loneliness haunted her. James's words echoed in her mind. What was the right thing to do? Days passed, and she withdrew, avoiding Elliot. His downcast gaze pierced her soul. But Daniel's security came first. Or did it? Then one day, James saw it. Really saw it. Elliot withdrawn, isolated, miserable. He confronted Marina, his frustration bubbling over. What had changed? Her answer was a quiet but firm accusation. What if he finally understood the real threat that was looming over his son? I just don't want him getting too attached, James stammered, his voice tight. I understand, Marina replied, her tone cool. But that's exactly what he needs. Attachment, care, someone who sees him. The words had the weight of truth. How could he deny what was so clear? And then she did the unthinkable. She gave him her resignation. With that, she turned and walked away, tears threatening to spill. James stood frozen. Had he made a terrible mistake? What would happen to Elliot without her? Days turned into weeks, and Elliot had grown quiet. James knew it was time to reconcile the wrongs he had done to his son and to Marina. Finally, James did something truly unexpected, his heart heavy with regret as he called her. Would she ever forgive him? Would she believe his sincerity? Marina hesitated, the sting of his accusations still fresh. But Elliot's loneliness tugged at her heart. She agreed, but with conditions. Would James accept them? Would he finally see her as more than just a help? And so Marina returned. Elliot's face lit up with a joy that chased away the shadows. James watched, a mix of gratitude and shame swirling within him. Could he truly change? Over time, James started to see the world through Elliot's eyes. Small gestures, shared laughter, simple moments of connection. What was budding between them? Could a real family emerge from the ashes of loss and loneliness? Quiet movie nights, playful afternoons in the garden, pancakes that turned into a comical mess. Each memory stitched them closer. How could James deny that his heart was beginning to heal? But can old wounds ever fully recover? One evening, after tucking Elliot into bed, James found himself lingering in the hallway. He took a deep breath, his heart pounding, and spoke softly. What was he about to risk? She hesitated, remembering the nights spent dreaming of a different life. She felt her pulse quicken, and in the look on her face, he knew the answer. What would that answer bring? From then on, there was new day in their household, a place where Daniel was just as welcome as Elliot. Their lives continued, their families were joined, and their bond grew stronger and stronger. With new excitement, James planned a family vacation. What would happen next? Back at the mansion, they were a family in every sense of the word. What was it like for Marina to be home? And as she leaned into James's embrace, Marina realized that sometimes, in the most unexpected places, happiness finds its way in. What will happen to her next? Life within the mansion walls had undergone a metamorphosis. The cold marble seemed to radiate a newfound warmth, the echoing silence replaced with a joyful cacophony of children's laughter. Marina wasn't just cleaning a house. She was nurturing a home, brick by emotional brick. But as any seasoned storyteller knows, happily ever after is rarely achieved without a few more trials along the way. What hidden trials and tribulation could they possibly face as a newly blended family? The first tremor arrived subtly. Daniel, usually an open book, began exhibiting a quiet withdrawal. He spent more time alone, his bright chatter replaced by a subdued silence that mirrored Elliot's before Marina's arrival. Was the transition to the grand mansion overwhelming him? Was he feeling overshadowed by Elliot's privileged world? Marina tried to coax him out of his shell, but her gentle inquiries were met with evasive answers. One afternoon, While sorting through old family photos, Marina stumbled upon a picture of James's late wife, Olivia. Olivia had been a vibrant beauty, a renowned artist, her life cut tragically short by a rare illness. But as Marina studied the photo, a flicker of recognition sparked in her mind. Where had she seen that face before? That night, sleep evaded her. The image of Olivia haunted her. Then it struck her. Years ago, before Daniel was born, when Marina was struggling to make ends meet, she had worked briefly as a model for a small art collective. One of the artists had been obsessed with capturing her likeness, claiming she possessed a unique beauty. Could it be? Could Olivia have been one of those artists? And if so, what did it mean? Driven by an inexplicable urge, Marina searched online for Olivia's artwork. And there it was, a portrait, strikingly similar to her own features, signed Olivia R. The painting was titled Muse. A cold wave washed over her. Was this simply a bizarre coincidence, or was something more profound at play? The next day, Daniel's school called. He had been involved in an altercation with another student. The reason? The other boy had taunted Daniel, claiming his mother was just the maid at the Rowan mansion. Marina's heart broke. Daniel had been internalizing the class differences, the perceived social gap between their lives and Elliot's. He felt inferior. Marina knew she had to address this head-on. That evening, she sat down with Daniel and Elliot, determined to bridge the chasm of insecurity that had formed. She explained her past, her struggles, her unwavering love for Daniel. She emphasized that true worth wasn't measured by wealth or social status, but by kindness, integrity, and the strength of one's character. James, overhearing the conversation, was deeply moved. He realized he had been so focused on rebuilding his own life that he had overlooked the subtle challenges Daniel faced. He vowed to do better, to ensure that both boys felt equally valued and loved. But Marina's discovery about Olivia's artwork continued to gnaw at her. She couldn't shake the feeling that it was more than just a coincidence. She decided to confide in James. Hesitantly, she showed him the painting, explaining her past as a model and her uncanny resemblance to Olivia's muse. James was stunned. He had never known this about Marina. As he studied the painting, he noticed something he had never seen before, a small, almost imperceptible birthmark on the subject's neck, exactly where Marina had won. He felt a shiver run down his spine. Could it be possible that Olivia had known Marina, had been inspired by her? Driven by a shared need to uncover the truth, James and Marina delved into Olivia's past. They scoured her journals, contacted old friends, and visited the art collective where Marina had worked. Slowly, a picture began to emerge. Olivia had been a deeply empathetic and compassionate soul, drawn to the beauty in ordinary people. She had seen something special in Marina, a resilience and inner strength that resonated with her. They discovered that Olivia had been struggling with her illness even during her artistic peak. She had been searching for meaning, for a way to leave a lasting legacy. Could it be that she had somehow foreseen Marina's role in James and Elliot's lives? The most shocking revelation came when they found a sealed letter in Olivia's personal effects, addressed to James, to be opened only in the event of a specific circumstance. If Elliot finds a woman who brings light back into our lives, a woman with a birthmark on her neck like the muse, then you will know it is meant to be. James was overwhelmed. Olivia, even in death, had orchestrated a path toward healing and happiness. He looked at Marina, his eyes filled with gratitude and a love that transcended words. Their connection was not a random coincidence, but a destiny woven by fate and the enduring power of love. But the universe, it seemed, wasn't finished testing them. Just as they were beginning to fully embrace their unconventional family, another challenge emerged, this time from an unexpected source. James's estranged brother, Richard, resurfaced. Richard had always been envious of James's success, harboring a deep-seated resentment that had festered over the years. Richard was on drugs and constantly needed money from James. He showed up at the doorstep demanding money. He had heard rumors of James's relationship with Marina and saw an opportunity to exploit the situation. Richard threatened to expose Marina's past, to reveal her humble beginnings and paint her as a gold digger who had manipulated James for his wealth. He threatened to take Daniel from Marina, as he knew the laws would be in Richard's favor. He threatened to disrupt their family and destroy the happiness they had worked so hard to build. James, fiercely protective of Marina and his family, refused to be blackmailed. But Richard was relentless. He spread rumors throughout the community, whispering insinuations about Marina's character and questioning her motives. The whispers turned into stares, the smiles into judgmental glances. Marina felt the weight of societal judgment pressing down on her. Daniel, sensitive to the negativity surrounding his mother, began to withdraw again. He overheard snippets of conversations, whispers that painted Marina as a social climber, an opportunist. He started questioning his own place in the Rowan family. James, determined to shield his family from Richard's malicious attacks, decided to take a drastic step. He called a press conference, inviting the media to the mansion. He stood beside Marina, his voice unwavering, and publicly declared his love and respect for her. He shared their story, their struggles, and their unwavering commitment to each other. He denounced Richard's lies and vowed to protect his family at all costs. His words resonated with the public. People saw beyond the wealth and privilege, recognizing the genuine love and compassion that bound this unconventional family together. The tide began to turn. Support poured in from unexpected corners. Richard, thwarted in his attempts to destroy James and Marina, became increasingly desperate. In a final act of malice, he snuck into the mansion, intending to cause chaos and inflict harm. He found Elliot alone in his room, vulnerable and unsuspecting. Just as Richard was about to confront Elliot, Daniel intervened. He had been searching for Elliot, wanting to apologize for his recent withdrawal. Seeing Richard's menacing presence, Daniel instinctively knew something was wrong. He bravely stepped in front of Elliot, shielding him from harm. Richard, enraged by Daniel's interference, lashed out. A struggle ensued. In the heat of the moment, Richard accidentally pushed Daniel, sending him tumbling down a flight of stairs. The mansion erupted in chaos. James and Marina rushed to Daniel's side, their hearts pounding with terror. Daniel was unconscious, his body limp. The next few hours were a blur of frantic phone calls, ambulance sirens, and anxious waiting at the hospital. Daniel's life hung in the balance. As James and Marina waited for news, they clung to each other, their love tested to its absolute limit. Finally, the doctor emerged, his expression grave. Daniel had suffered a severe head injury. The next 24 hours would be critical. James and Marina were devastated. As Daniel lay unconscious in the hospital bed, Marina sat by his side, whispering words of love and encouragement. She told him stories of their life together, of his unwavering kindness and his infectious laughter. She pleaded with him to fight, to come back to them. James, consumed by guilt and regret, sat on the other side of the bed, his eyes filled with tears. He blamed himself for bringing Richard into their lives, for allowing this tragedy to happen. He vowed to make amends, to dedicate his life to protecting and cherishing Daniel and Marina. And then a miracle happened. Slowly, Daniel began to stir. His eyes fluttered open, and he weakly smiled at Marina and James. He was going to be okay. The road to recovery was long and arduous, but Daniel's resilience shone through. He underwent therapy, both physical and emotional, and slowly began to regain his strength and his spirit. The incident with Richard had brought James, Marina, Daniel, and Elliot even closer. They had faced their darkest hour together, and they had emerged stronger and more united than ever before. They had learned the true meaning of family, of unconditional love, and of the enduring power of hope. Richard was arrested and prosecuted for his crimes. He was sentenced to a long prison term, finally facing the consequences of his malicious actions. As time went on, the scars of the past began to fade. James and Marina were married in a beautiful ceremony in the mansion's garden, surrounded by their loved ones. Daniel and Elliot stood by their side, beaming with pride. They had built a family not on blood, but on love, acceptance, and the unwavering belief that happiness can be found in the most unexpected places. Their story was a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit, a reminder that even in the face of adversity, love can conquer all. And they lived not just happily ever after, but authentically, honestly, and with a deep appreciation for the precious gift of family. Because what really matters in life, it turns out, isn't the size of your house, but the size of your heart. What did you think of this incredible story? Have you ever experienced something unexpected that changed your life forever? Share your thoughts and feelings in the comments below. And if this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who needs a reminder that love can truly conquer all.